Alright guys, it's been a while since we've done a video looking at the best gloves for certain budgets, so we're going to do it again today with a budget of $500 in mind. I have 20 options for you here, and let's go through them. Now, I am going to show a knife with all of them, but obviously that's not on the price, it's just a potential combo, so you can keep it in mind. First up, we have these specialist gloves, counterstrike. Getting these in field test, it would cost you $460, but these in field test, compared to other specialist gloves, actually wear really nicely, with the only thing really changing is the tone of the orange on the top of the hand. And if you do like these, I posted a video earlier this week looking at all the best combos with them. That'll be linked down below. I know not everyone loves the moto gloves, but I think they can look good, especially if you use a big blade, whether that be an M9, a Huntsman, whatever. But minimal wear, $350 for a pair of blue gloves, and blue is one of the most popular options for weapon skins. It means you have a clean pair of gloves. I think it's very, very understated, the fact that you can get the less desirable gloves in a minimal wear that look fantastically clean, rather than having to pay even more money for something in Battlescar that looks scuffed. Appreciate those clean looks, guys, because they work wonders. Imperial blades in field test is one of the best options I'm going to have here today. They're $380 in field test. Now, just for context, all the prices are from the 14th of April. If you're watching it in a year, I don't know what the market's going to be like, so just fingers crossed it's in a good state. The one thing is, you will get knuckle wear. You can see it here. This is like a 0.25 to 0.27 float, and this is what you kind of expect knuckle wear wise. But in regards to purple gloves, it looks sick, and the only other option is Pandora's. These are pretty amazing. If you were desperate to jump to sport gloves, Omega could be worth a look. They are $460 in field tested. They do get knuckle wear, and that is unavoidable. They get wear in general, but I think overall they actually are decent as like a more neutral pair of gloves when you're holding weapons, because it's heavily grey with a little yellow accent rather than being like a full colour. And then obviously with lowers, and some people pair them with tiger tooth and case hardened piss gems. Like, just solid pair of gloves. Flipping it back to moto gloves, and the pair that I wish I could enjoy more myself because I want to love them, it's the turtles. These are cheaper than the polygons, $280 for minimal wear. And they look incredibly clean. They look fantastic. I really like how they look here when you're holding a knife. My one gripe with them, just so you guys can sort of understand it, is when you hold them in, like with a gun in idle, there is so much grey on the gloves and not much green, and it's a kind of weird grey. So if you can get over the grey thing, maybe that's just me, and when you're holding your knife, you want it to look amazing with gamma Dopplers, for example, the turtles can be a great pair. This is probably going to be one of the top 3 options I have today. The Scarlet Shamas. These will run you about $400 in field test. You can see quite how clean they are. Your small knuckle wear starting to come through. They are pattern based, so that sort of black and red will shift along. You can try and line it up like I have here, with that black strip going through where the black is. But they're just a fantastic glove. The inside of the palms in field test look really nice as well when you're inspecting items. So this is such a good pair of gloves for $400. Interestingly, these are more expensive than the Scarlet Shams, but they are minimal wear, which means they look very, very clean. It's the Lieutenant Commander's $415. The one issue that I think people have with these, and it really depends what you can do, is there is so many colors on it. There's like at least 5 colors that you're trying to pair here with items, which can make it a little bit tricky. But if you just want to run mixed skins and have a combination with a lower knife, for example, this could be worth a shout for how clean they come out. And keeping it on the specialist gloves vibes, but going to field test, and this sort of shows where the issues lie. That thumb wear in field test on specialist gloves can be pretty nasty. You even see it here. Look at that. It is messy. Now, the fade gloves do have the plus side of them, pretty much like this purpley base, and then you obviously got the fade pattern on the knuckle and the accent colors, which is a very strong pairing. And with the Ursus knife, actually, because of the handle and then going for like a purple blade, this isn't bad for a $375 pair of gloves. You will just have to deal with that thumb wear. And back to the moto gloves. They are one of the best options for clean gloves under $500. We have the POW here. These are actually $195. So these are like well under that price range we're looking at. And the thing here is, the only other gloves in moto like this are spearmints that have this kind of whitish color. Obviously, there's lots of brown in the POW, and that's why people maybe steer away from them. But one of the options, you're seeing it here, you can then go and get like a Talon rust coat with these, and it looks fantastic because of the brown knuckle pairing. Now, along with the Scarlet Shams, I think Big Game is one of the best sort of value for money gloves you can get. They are pattern based as well, so you can try and get it to pair with certain knives like Urban Mass if you want them to line up. I priced for field tester here, and that's what you're seeing, $275. Minimal wear if you want that color contrast to be a bit brighter and remove any bits of wear you do see. it would go to $410, so still under the $500 budget. One of my personal favorites under this $500 mark is the foundation gloves. I don't think you see them enough, and they are very unique, and with black laminates, they look incredible. But again, the tops of the gloves look pretty damn good in field tested in those middle range floats of like 0.25 to 0.29, and it's also pattern based as well, so just keep an eye on that. The only downside a lot of people have is that in the grey area, it's literally just got the specialist text, which I think if it didn't have that text and was just the texture, they would look a lot nicer in general. But a very solid pair of gloves for under $400 field test. And specialist gloves are, I think, collectively the second best glove type in the game behind sports gloves. And sticking on that, you'll see the same issues again here. Thumb wear on that left thumb particularly is very, very rough. However, these gloves paired with blue steels can be fantastic, and they can be clean on the tops, which is maybe one of the more important things for people. For $275, you can get these field agents. They have nice yellow accents. The Ava agent is perfect to pair with these, and then an agent on T-side with gold accents like you're seeing. But you can see here, just the blue top with the yellow accents holds up really nicely, and it really is just those thumbs that they take a bit of a beating. If you're after a bit more of a neutral combination, you want a black and white loadout, whatever it may be, smokeouts in minimal wear could be a shout for you. Now, field test is also an option, but when minimal wear is 360, gets rid of basically all the scuffs and is incredibly clean, then I think they are worth looking at. And if you're wondering knife-wise, I do think Urban Mask is probably the best one, because that knuckle is kind of like a smoky white-grey sort of color, which goes really well with the Urban Masks. Now, you know damn well I had to sneak the bronze morph in here somehow. This is what we have. Bronze morph in minimal wear is under $300. Now, these are, I think the best way I can sort of describe them is they have the same texture underneath that the Omegas and the Vice have, like those little, I'll try and zoom in on it, crisscrossy kind of patterns, but then they have the amphibious design over the top, and then the red and green. It is a really interesting pair of gloves. You can actually build a very nice loadout around these gloves. The one thing to note is they're very similar to Amphibious in the fact that they wear quite badly, but not at the same over-the-top level that the Amphibious will be. I was chatting about these very gloves and the knife combo, actually, with the YouTube members today, and we're talking about how in CSGO these gloves look much better, but even now, $260 for field test is pretty good. But in CSGO, if you guys remember, what is black on this, and now looks like this wash grey, used to be a full deep black, and it was the same for the text, which meant you had this really cool contrast. I'm just hoping someday Valve will fix that, but either way, I think this is a very unique, interesting pair of gloves you could pick up. Now, of course, I have to show some love to my own pair of gloves. I have 4 Steady Pats in minimal wear. They're currently $245. They've grown on me a lot recently, and again, I think the fact you can get specialist gloves, second best type of gloves in the game, you can get them minimal wear under $250, and then 4 Steady Pat knives are obviously the direct pairing, and they don't break the bank. This is something people should look at more, especially these sort of camel colors, because it is surprising, especially with the likes of the Burial collection being added, how good of a loadout you can build that looks clean and themed for not too much money. Now, I actually have 2 quite cheap options for you. We have the Jade gloves. Minimal wear, these will cost you $215. Now, you can save a bit of money and get them in field test if you want to. They'll still look pretty good, but I think for that $215 mark, go in minimal wear. The thing here is this Jade green is fantastic, but it has the bronze on top, which makes it a little bit hard to pair sometimes, but for me, I think it's just crying out to put a rust coat with it and have that rusty bronze vibe combined, and then when you're using your weapon skins, you get that nice Jade coming through. Now, it seems over the last couple of months that the Queen Jaguars are just getting insane love from the community, which is kind of wild because for the longest time, no one really cared for them, but minimal wear, they'll cost you about $165. Now, the thing here is, they are incredibly clean. You can pretty much always get clean knuckles like this. I know there's a little mark you're seeing on the right ones, but it's so minor in the grand scheme of things, and most people maybe didn't even see it. The one thing to note here is these are pattern based for the tops of the glove, and for example, the one on the right hand, not too bad. You got fairly decent spots. The one on the left hand, however, this would be deemed like undesirable as a pattern because it's just a bit messy, and some people call it like the cow pattern. But these have become more popular. The price has gone up because of that, and the market's risen in general, but they can actually build an interesting loadout around that. Now, I couldn't get through the video without suggesting the Snow Leopards. Now, these ones are scuffed. They are battle scarred for $405, but you really can't go any higher. I think you could get well worn within the $500 mark, but well worn gloves are very hard to resell because of the weird float cap, so I don't want to recommend that for you. So if you want a white pair of gloves to have neutral and be able to buy like any color of skins that you want to and have it work, this is going to be the best option that you have, and you just have to deal with the fact they're going to be scuffed. Also, same conversation we just had with the Queen Jaguars, the spots are pattern based. Left hand here, not very desirable. Right hand, bit more desirable. And then we get to end it off with a pair of sports gloves Auras. Now, these take a beating, I'm not gonna lie, but $350 for sports gloves that are an interesting color theme and you could do some cool bits with them, they could be worth a look at. For me personally, I think if you had a higher budget, you could jump the field test on these and have them be very clean. You could do something sophisticated, but I wanted just to sort of throw them in, give them the flowers, and you guys can have them as an option. But that's all 20 pair of gloves that I think you should be taking a look at for under the $500 mark. Obviously, there's some gloves that you could buy under $200 that I've not mentioned, but in the past, I did like $200, $300 videos, so I wanted to include some there that I thought were good, but focus more at the higher end of this budget. What can you obtain? So I'm going to end my waffle in there. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Big thank you to Rain for sponsoring the video. You guys should check them out and get the free cases with the link down below. A big thank you to the YouTube members that continue to support the channel as well. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you're around here. And let me know your favorite pair of gloves from this video in the comments. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.